let's cash the check. You guys ready?
Yeah, so this is the first GCL podcast. Something different, something we're doing. We wanted to do for a lot of years now, and we're finally, kicking it off. So our first guest is, Senor Ty Belford. Is Belford? Did I fuck it up?
I like the way you said it, Senor. Ty Belford. I like it.
What is it with a B?
This is the seniority.
So we're going for a real casual feel, man. We're in my apartment. We set it up, and it's a pilot. So we're just gonna have some fun, go through it, and just relax, I guess.
And be our natural selves.
Yeah.
That's the goal. I gotta remember to look at these cameras.
Say it again?
I gotta remember to look at some cameras, right?
Look at the cameras? Oh yeah, every once in a while look at the cameras.
Every once in a while. We gotta remember that day.
We gotta treat it like The Office. We just keep it moving. Every once in a while you just look at the camera.
You got it.
Let's all look at the camera real quick.
See, and the point is, I know not to look at the camera, and when you're talking, you got to look at your guests, right? But me, because I also run the cameras as well, from time to time, it's like, are they on?
Yeah, they're ready to watch them for a different reason.
I'm looking for the red lights, are they on? So, real quick, just to open this up, let's hear about you. I just want to know your origin story, real quick.
Like origin story.
Yeah, man.
Like where I come from.
Where you come from? What led you to this place in time?
To Southwest Florida, or
Southwest Florida. Let's do Southwest Florida.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Detroit.
Okay.
I grew up in the city and then in the suburbs the later part of my teen years. I was, you guys all mostly know me by Ty, but I am Tyrone from Detroit. And not to make, I guess, be stereotypical of myself, but I did live up to the name Tyrone when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I was a little bit of a troublemaker. And so after high school, I really wasn't prepared with my grades and prepared psychologically to go to college.
Okay.
So I went to the Marine Corps. And so as a Marine, believe it or not, I was actually a graphic artist and a combat photographer.
Okay.
And so as a graphic artist, and you guys know I work in the creative space today, that was kind of like launched me into this career path that I've been on.
Time out. How'd you become a graphic artist in the military? Like, it's not something you think of.
Quick, what year was this?
This was, oh man, now you're gonna show my age. So
it's just because
just give us a range then. We ain't gonna be.
It was the CDs, it was the 8 tracks. Like
the first iPod? No,
I wasn't iPods. This was 95. I graduated from high school in 95.
Okay.
So things were still analog, was my point.
Yes,
for the most part.
still analog. In fact, so crazy. So that camera, this one here that we're looking at right now, that camera, it looks like one of the first digital cameras that I ever used, which was one of the first digital cameras that ever existed. It was a Nikon 35 millimeter camera that they converted into a digital camera somehow. Okay. So it was like the top of it was like this old Nikon, and then at the bottom it was like an attachment that conformed a traditional camera into a digital camera.
Oh, wow. On the record, our camera isn't old though.
No, it's not an old camera. I mean, the profile is very similar to that camera. Right
did you pick up on how? It's like, did he just call?
No.
What you look like?
And I got lights in my eyes. It's a silhouette. The silhouette
of it.
The shadow of that camera was a lot like.
It's like, Ty said there, what y'all great value looking cameras y'all got. All right.
So Nikon, if you're hearing, we got old cameras and it's trying to sponsor us and some new cameras.
Nikon sponsor.
It couldn't have been that cheap.
Shout out to Nikon.
That's military stuff, and they always overpay for everything.
No, actually, the Marines get the Army's leftovers, so we get nothing new.
Marines are like the stepbrother, the stepchild of the military, you know what I'm saying?
But I feel that they run with that aura too. Like there's like
it's a pride in that.
It gives them more power to it.
There's a chip to it.
It's kind of like being from Detroit. Going from Detroit, the only thing you would do is go to be a Marine. You want to go to the military because it's kind of like the underdog, devil dog scenario.
Oh yeah, y'all. That city just relishes in that energy. Like, we love being. Please make us the underdog, because then that's when you get punched in the mouth. It's like, and not sometimes literally, but sometimes just the metaphor of it. Like, Detroit cats, man.
If you can, this is a song. You can make it anywhere in New York. But Detroit, truly, I have a few friends and family members that have moved from Detroit to the South, Florida in particular, and it's like Detroit is you're in this rat race. You're in this hamster wheel, treadmill, treading, not moving anywhere. But that same energy in the South, and particularly here in Florida, Southwest Florida in particular, it goes farther. Like from the day I got into Southwest Florida, it was like I was flying on this treadmill.
What part did you move to?
I moved to Naples first.
You moved to Naples
yeah,
first?
I lived in Naples. I lived on the Immokalee Road for a minute.
Okay.
And then I moved to Bonita. I lived in 2 different places in Bonita, and I kind of worked my way. Then
more north, huh?
Yeah, and then at one point, for some reason, I moved off of DeSoto, which is like way out. Like
it's like 101.
It's like no, it's like
80
it's like
yeah.
right. It's like is it 80? You
It's
get
like
right. So it's like far out. Like we had bear and bobcat in our driveway. Like it was.
All right. So what took the Detroit Tyrone to become Southwest Florida Ty? Like how does that occur?
Oh, it's a lot of mistakes. Like it really my whole who I am has more to do with my failures than my successes. So and the lessons that came through them, right? And so like how candid can I be? Because we're on camera, right? So I won't be all the way candid, but I'll say that I've had my fair share of ups and downs and you know
run-ins,
right?
Run-ins.
With the folks, you know, like in my early years, you know, and but all those opportunities, I like to call them today, you know, kind of made me who I am. And I think the most thing that it gave me was compassion and empathy, and it also gave me a better ear and better eyes to kind of see and understand and feel it. And so it actually made me a really good problem solver, you know, because I had to solve a lot of my own problems, right? And so so now, you know, in my personal life, there's a lot of overlap now with my personal life and my career. More so than ever, because recently my wife, she retired from the bank and came to work with me full time. So now, like, truly my personal life and my work life is the same thing. It's like no end to either, right? So it's a complete overlap. And so it's a blessing, you know what I mean, to be able to kind of work in this creative space from, you know, way back when I was a Marine doing graphic design and photography and still get to be creative. But what I really love about the work that I do every day is that I get to help a lot of small businesses, a lot of people that, you know, want to get free from the traditional employee mentality or employee scenarios. And I get to help them empower themselves, create legacy, create opportunities, create other jobs, you know. And so that's the blessing behind it. So in my fun thing that I get to do, which is, you know, web design and graphic design and digital advertising, but it's all this creative drawing pictures like playing a video game experience I have all day every day. But I pair that with helping someone that never thought they could launch a company, never thought they could start a makeup line, never thought they could.
So because the name of your company is Four Corners Creative, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Four Corners. Why Four Corners?
You know, I got so many reasons to say that, right? When I really cannot remember what I was thinking when we came up with the name. I can tell you the day. It was February 5th.
Okay.
In 2015, and I was going through a lot of stuff, and I was still an employee. But what I say that it means now. So four is not four corners. It's not a square. It's an intersection. That is for sure. It's an intersection, not a square. So intersections where things kind of come together, where they collide, right? Okay. So you could say, oh, where all things creative collide. And so I'll say web design, multimedia, graphic design, branding, right? Right. But then I say that four is also the dollar sign on the keyboard, right? That's the joke one.
Okay,
right?
well, okay.
But it is.
You want some Jay-Z double entendre?
It is. But yeah, so it's just where things come together. I think four, for the most part, it's intersection for me. Four corners represents an intersection where things come together.
I'm really excited to talk about this. The thing I did with him, the legacy thing. You're working legacy. I want to hear him talk about that. Or whatever we guys had like a video.
When we did the thing that we never did.
The thing that you did, but you never did.
Fast forward, we're here.
We're here.
Someone here. We're here.
So yeah, like, can I tell that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a hallelujah moment. Like, so I was grabbing a little water real quick. Is this a sponsor or something?
No.
But you could be. Hold on.
It could be. Should be.
Time out.
Working it in.
If interested.
If not, we just gotta blur it out. You know how
you gonna blur it out. You want to get blurred out? You want that?
You will get blurred out. So yeah. So it was like, man. So Marco and Ariel came to my office. and it was like, yo, we're doing this thing, and we want to do a little like pre-interview.
Oh, that's right.
To take like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
To take 10 minutes. Dude, it was like therapy. They should have sent me an invoice because I was there like for 2.5 hours, yo.
Write that down.
Just 2.5 hours. I probably cried and all kind of stuff. But I was talking about like this book that I still haven't finished to this day. And
you don't want to drop the name right now?
Yeah, the book is Why Don't They Call Me Junior? Right?
Say it one more time.
Why Don't They Call Me Junior?
Okay, all right.
Right, and notice how I said it 2 different ways. There was a different way that I said it. Anyway, so we're sitting here having this conversation. There's this interview, and I just go off, and I think they probably wanted to go to sleep. I don't know if you did or didn't.
I took a lot of gems from that. We still talk about
First of all, how many years ago was that?
I just started. It was like 4.5 years ago.
Shit, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
I remember that was when Ariel and I wanted to like start working together, and we were like, hey, because he was getting like he was coming in like last minute for some weddings, like really helping out because these brides were getting screwed over by this dude and basically just scamming them. And he would hire Ariel to come, and he would have to like this whole thing. And then he was telling me this. I'm like, man, what? We could do this. There's money out here. What are you talking about? And then it kind of just started evolving. And then we approached you, because we have such a deep relationship with you. And one of the things personally for me is that you've helped me like really give a lot of perspective in business and marketing and stuff like that. Very early on, that helped me kind of more. So I was like, yo, how can I, Ty? It like just my mind racing, and I was like, who can we talk to? And obviously, we thought about you. You're down to earth and everything like that, and at the time we didn't really feel like we were like professional enough. Or at least I didn't. Ariel's been shooting a lot longer than I have. I didn't.
I was Tyrone from Detroit.
So and I always saw you a certain perspective, man. But you always kept it real with us. So I was like, yeah, we got to talk to him. So when we spoke to him, I don't think Ariel mentioned it. Was that the first time, or if we were first?
Maybe the first time we ever sat down and talked.
Yeah,
I think we had seen each other in passing a few times.
And you hit us with some deep stuff, man. I can't recall every single thing, but now that looking back at it, now that it's been like
it
circulating, I remember saying like, damn, I didn't know that about Ty. You know what I mean? And which gave me depth to a lot of business owners that maybe I've met or I've known, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of story there, and I think that more people need to hear it and talk about it. So 4.5 years later, here we are, and really trying to take it to the next level as far as GCL and Ariel and I with the podcast, and Brian being an amazing interview and everything like that. Right. I guess what I want to say is we have to finish that.
Yeah. I think we are finished in a way. I think we are.
No, but the way you talk about
that was like
that was a whole other
another level.
That's like an explainer for you. That's like the movie, like the Ty the movie.
Is it recorded?
Like this is like
it's recording.
we had the sound recording. Yeah.
It's audio.
I wasn't there. What happened?
It was a breakthrough for me because I thought I knew something about myself. I thought I knew something about this book that I was writing, still trying to write, and then in the discussion, in the counseling session, like that they were giving me stuff. Because most psychologists, just what I've heard. Anyway, I haven't been in one. But what I've heard.
wrong with that hashtag mental health.
He was asking questions and it was going good.
Hashtag mental health.
Yeah, right. So I've been to, I know what they do, and they listen a lot, and they were listening a lot. And so real quick, so this Why Don't They Call Me Junior? When I first wanted to write this book, I was still a Marine, so it was like in my early 20s. And it really came from a place where I am Ty Belford Jr. and I don't have a middle name. But no one ever called me Junior in my life. And I was, at that time in my life, I was making a bunch of excuses. And I was like, I had this entitlement type of mentality. It's like, maybe my parents don't love me, or maybe my father doesn't love me. He didn't stay married to my mother. And we don't have the greatest relationship, and we didn't at that time. We have a great, really good relationship now, but back then we didn't. When I was, in my 20s, and mostly because of me and my mentality back then, thinking he owed me something. And so it was like, why don't they call me Junior? What was me, right? And I could have wrote a whole book back then on that victim book. Mm-hmm. So then later in life, I had some other things happen to me, tragic, and that I chose to learn from. So I thought I was learning. And I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I had married somebody when I left this part earlier. So when I joined the Marines, it's because this is deep. This is gonna go live.
So come on, let's talk.
Yeah. So when I joined the Marines, not only was I not equipped and ready for school, but I also thought I had a baby on the way. So I did the traditional thing, right? I'm like, I'm gonna take care of my family. I'm gonna join the military, and I'm gonna marry this girl, and I did all this stuff. And turns out, you know, he's 3.5 years old, and I find out he's not my kid, right? So he's Tyrone Belford III, and I get a DNA test sent to me. It's like some other guy is the father, right? And so that all fell apart. So I was so heartbroken. So I'm still got this book concept because it's like therapy for me, the writing that I was doing back then. And then I, out of embarrassment more so, I moved to like Virginia. When I got out of the Marines, I could never go back to Detroit because I was just too embarrassed of what had happened with the kid not being mine, being a fool. So I went to Philly for a minute. Philly. I used to live in North Wales.
Yeah,
I like the suburbs a little bit. You know?
I got that.
I got some friends from Philly.
Right. So, but I used to be out of Montgomery. Anyway, so I used to be around Jaguars. Know a place called Jaguars?
No.
It's like Montgomery and like Ogon's that area. Germantown.
I know Germantown. I don't know about Jaguars.
Okay.
So
So anyway, so let me go real quick. So at that point, it came about accountability. So why don't they call you Junior? It's because you've never introduced yourself as Junior. It's about accountability. So yeah, quit crying about it. You want somebody to call you Junior? Walk up and say, "Hey, I'm Junior." They'll call you Junior. But it's not just being called Junior, but it's the mindset of taking control. So from being, again, the victim or the person that thinks he's entitled to now I'm more assertive, more focused, more demanding of my future, more in control. I'm Junior, right? Never called myself Junior, but I could have, and I felt like I could have. Okay. At the same time, I was like going through this divorce, knowing this is it, finding out this isn't my kid. Then I meet someone that has a kid that I don't know her, but I'm like, you know, love is not like emotional what you think it is. It's a decision.
It's a decision. Yeah. Okay.
So if you can decide to love, you just commit to it. So I married this other girl, right? So that I did not know.
Just matter of fact.
Just like literally we dated. I was probably, I can tell you the year. It was like 2001, 2001.
But she was dope though. I imagine for you to be like, yo. Like, or was it?
Oh, she was pretty. That was about it. She was pretty, and but personality wise, she was pretty much the same girl that I had married the first time, right?
Okay.
You know, that speaks on patterns. I think that we tend to have dating patterns sometimes, and sometimes toxic ones, and we don't realize it or kind of work through it or whatever. So
because the cycles they exist for a reason. The cycles exist for you to learn a lesson, and if you don't, you kind of just repeat the cycle.
Wow.
Right, and so that's what happened. So I kind of married the same person again, you know, and that didn't last long. We got married like the Monday after Thanksgiving. We were separated the day after Christmas. Like it didn't last long, but then we had to have a year separation because of Virginia and there's all kind of crazy stuff. Man. So that's where I'm at now. It's like accountability, make a decision. You know, they don't call me Junior because I never ended myself as Junior. So then that's what I thought it was: accountability, make a decision, be who you want to be, and then. When I was sitting with you guys many years later, and after getting a lot of other things together in my life, including marrying the right woman that I'm married to today, and we've been married happily for 11 years.
Shout out to that.
So we've been together for 16 years. So, and she's my business partner. So I got all those things together, but still has some challenges, and I really had a breakthrough sitting with these two that changed the trajectory of my life, and it kind of put me in the final chapter of this book. So the book, as it's being written, how I felt in phase one, being entitled, and how I felt thinking I was in control, that still exists, and all that writing is not in vain, and it's included in this. It could have never ended how it's ending had we not had that sit down. So the ending identifies the opposite of the entitlement mentality. It identifies the legacy mentality, right? And that's what we had talked about a little bit when we were sitting there. And we talked about descendants. We used the word descendants, and that descendants are people that not only are born to you, but they're people that buy into your vision, and that through conversation, even sometimes, you can change the trajectory of their life.
So you said that to me, and I adopted it as like part of my mind. And the thing is, to be honest with you, I never I didn't realize where it came from until you just said it. Like, yo, I knew that thought wasn't my own. I'm like, somebody had told this to me to put in my brain, and I repeated it. And I would say, hey, my descendants aren't just my kids.
Right.
It's the relationships and how those relationships go off into the future.
Right.
So it's just like, it could be your 2 children, or it could be someone that you mentee, that you mentor.
Right.
So,
it could be a conversation that you had with someone you never see again. You understand that you at the right place at the right time, right conversation, right words, right story to tell, right way to relate. They walk away and they don't kill themselves. Like, you don't know if that has happened to you in your life. That I know I've given encouragement to people that I don't know. And I know that people that I don't know have broken down and cried in front of me, and I'm sure it's probably happened to all of you guys before. You don't know that you just saved them from killing themselves or killing their spouse or their child or whoever. Who knows, right? And so therefore, that person and many others that we have come across become our descendants, even the ones that we've hurt. So that's the other thing. So there's a lot of, and that's the other. That's the chapter after what I thought was the end, is that then you hurt somebody. They're damaged. You changed the trajectory. They are your descendant. You got to own up to that too. So there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of accountability that we have, and a lot of power that we have as humans to birth beyond just through our sexual experiences, like from creative, from opportunities to just changing the way somebody thinks, which is probably the most important thing. How people think about themselves and how they think about what's in front of them, right?
Wow. Sheesh.
Now I remember what that book was about, bro. I was like, for 4.5 years, something just happened. I'm like, man, I know we had a great conversation. It was long, but it let me so with so much depth, and that's why. It's because of that. What's crazy is that I have also, being a male, you can definitely like be influential towards like females in a very negative way, and I've like, even if you at the time might not think it, you're just trying to have fun or whatever, whatever your perspective is at the moment, you're not considering the other perspective, and I feel like conversations like that have helped me grow and mature as a man as well. You know what I mean? Of course. And it's like, like how do you approach, I guess, or just relate to somebody else's feelings at the moment, in type of situation. So you gotta write that book, bro, because that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
I could not have written the book had we not sat together, and then some other things had to happen afterwards.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Because is it over? I don't know. The book, it may be like I may pass away 20, 30 years from now, and someone may just grab my notes, and it may not be able to be finished until I'm not here. That's even a possibility. You may have to wait a long time for it. I don't know. I just keep putting my thoughts on paper, and I don't ever feel like it's perfect yet. Like I don't feel like I'm done learning. Maybe I don't know what it is.
Well, there's a juxtaposition between the book and your life, and since you're not done, the
book's birthed a lot. Like I talk about this legacy mentality deal all the time. There's a clothing line. I should have worn stuff today. I didn't wear it.
But that's why, like motherfuckers like Dale Carnegie, you know what I mean? Like wrote like several different books, man. You could write several different books.
You're right. I need to.
Don't you know what I mean? I don't think you should make it. I'm not done yet. Just wherever you feel right. Whenever you do start the process.
Right.
Whenever you
it can be a volume 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
Because I could talk even from the day that we had the conversation. I know I mentioned it to them from here to then a couple of times, but even the title itself, why don't they call me Junior? It stuck with me. I'm not Junior, but I related to the fact that my father separated from my mom when I was like 11 months, so I didn't experience nothing really with my dad. So you grow up with like, okay, he didn't visit me. He had another family, so he didn't visit me. So he probably didn't love me. Those are the things that I know behind the scenes. But you grow up thinking, I grew up thinking he owes me something.
Yeah,
you owe me how to ride a bike. You owe me how to learn how to do this and third. And even you don't start kind of holding accountability for your things. Like you failed because you failed. It wasn't because you didn't have this person there present to what for whatever reason it was. And that's when you start kind of growing into your name. Like you said, if I want to be called Junior, I can just go out to somebody and be like, hey, this is what you gotta. And it start falling into that. Like I'm not, I'm my own person. I'm not my father's child. and you don't have to live in nobody's shadow. You don't have to, you know. So that's why I took it from as possible. When you say junior, I don't have to be a junior. I'm my own person.
Right.
I'm this person. But then it was also the same thing of like, he's this person up here, and I grew up thinking he owes me something. With this type of hate towards him, and it's
because there's a certain level of like forgiveness, like that feeling that he owes you something. It's evidence of not forgiving, and then so like when we think of like our souls, we think of our souls more often like in the afterlife, like it's a huge thing. Right. But as we're living, our soul is kind of a small little space, and if it's occupied with this negativity or this he owes me something, it's blocking like all these other men that you may have met in life, that you will meet, that can influence you, that can nurture you, that can, tame you or teach you or whatever. But because there's this anger or frustration blocking the male figure. And it's not just male to male. Women have it with missing fathers and all kind of things,
their moms, right?
Or missing mothers, Me and my mom had a great relationship. We know that. She passed away in 2012, but we had a friendship to the level that it was really honest. And so we had open disagreements. And someone would say, oh, how would a mother and son talk that way to each other? But it was the most real relationship I've ever had, with the exception that maybe equal is the one I have with my wife right now. It's very transparent and very blunt, and it's so real. It's like the realest thing. It's like so authentic. And so, but you can block your blessings living in these curses of not forgiving. Yeah. So it's important that we, forgive those that have fallen short.
Message.
Message.
Nah, that's it.
Forgive those who have fallen short.
Forgive those who fall, and even if it counts as yourself, like just one of those situations.
Because you do it for yourself, right?
Do it for yourself.
You have to do it for yourself so you can receive other blessings.
Yeah. The biggest forgiveness. The biggest forgiveness, real quick, is your self-forgiveness. And it's hard to self-forgive when you have the opportunity to right or wrong. There's some things you've done that you can't right. You got to just let it go and forgive yourself. But if it's something that you can fix, you need to fix it.
Yeah. Right.
Because every day that you don't fix it and you can fix it, it kind of like voids out. Well, you're even trying to forgive yourself because every day, like, I can fix this. I can call him. I can call her. I can pay this loan back. Whatever it is, you got to fix it.
You can feel it, yeah.
Or sometimes I think it might transfer into some like an action. Right, because fixing it could be something internal as far as perspective, but it could also be an action that you're not taking. I feel out here in the matrix that we live in. So it's like one of the things for me is like a few years ago, I guess when we were like interviewing and stuff like that, I thought I gained some weight. I hurt myself. I hurt my back, and I was working out at the time, but then I hurt myself, and then it started going the opposite way. So reflecting back in that point, I was like I'm a high functioning person for the most part, even though I move slow and I have a very monotone voice. Like I'm always moving forward, like regardless of my situation. So I'm able to even though I wasn't, I guess, happy. I hate saying the word depressed, because I don't like to use that for myself, at least lightly. And so, but I was not in the best mode. But I was still able to achieve this building that we were in. You know what I mean? I still pushed forward and everything, but I didn't take the right steps in order to get it the right way, because I wasn't more now. I'm more in love with myself. I'll be 32 at the end of the month, so I'm in a better space for self-confidence. I guess that's the word. I have better self-confidence in myself and my abilities now, and I had to go through that stage and be able to reflect back. Crazy thing is, in 2020, when we had all this time to ourselves, to really look back, and I looked at some photos of myself in my early 20s, and then mid, and then later, and I would look back, and I thought I was fat. Later, at that when we were meeting around a few years ago, I thought I was as fat as I was then through my whole 20s. And I look back and I'm I was looking fly as shit.
Right. Same thing with me. I'm fat. I was not fat right then.
So so it made me realize. It gave me the perspective of we do this to ourselves. We even though it might have not been as bad before, we might think that it was that bad, and we'll just sit there, and we might need a perspective to someone to be like, hold up, it wasn't that bad, man. Did you forget? And then we've talked about it too. I think we told me something about how Bria saw something, and how your sister saw, she perceived the situation, but you were older, and then you looked at it and you were like, nah, it didn't happen that way. or vice versa or something like that.
Yeah. We basically, the idea that we were all sitting in the same room, going through the exact same thing, but based off of where we were emotionally or maturity-wise, we came to completely different conclusions on how it went down. But being in my perspective, I got to see, because I'm a little bit older, I saw the full picture. But it's not a me versus her. I just happen to be older and be able to catch the things that maybe she may have missed or didn't focus on.
Right.
But just being friend to friend, I've seen everybody here grow. I've seen individuals grow, communities grow. All this is just changing. But when you're in the moment, my grandfather basically said this: think, fire, think. And he's like, okay, you can think, but then once there's actual firefight and people are shooting, you're not really thinking then, you're just reacting, and then you think afterwards. Well, when you're in the middle of it, you're not thinking in a way that allows you to get a full picture.
Right.
So no, you shouldn't put that on yourself, and others shouldn't put that on you. But time does heal, and time does give the advantage of perspective. Unfortunately, you can't be forward and present at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you're just kind of working through those things.
And my point with everything that we just said was that when we are not achieving what we know we can achieve, or are supposed to be achieving because we have that potential ability, it creates a frustration, and it can also create something I heard and I liked. It's like analysis paralysis, where you're like,
you're
overanalyzing the situation.
Nothing gets done.
And then nothing gets done, and then you go into more of a sense of depression, which again, I don't like that word for myself, but it is real and it does happen. So like, how can you get out of that? And I don't think, unless it's a chemical or genetical thing in yourself that is relative and it is real. Like, how do you work around that? How do you fix that? So in my case, I had to realize that through reflecting that, like, hey, I'm not doing the right moves that I want to make myself happy, and I had to figure it out. And I think now I'm in a better space. But to say all that, what's up with this book, man?
What's up with the book?
Yeah, bro.
So what's up with the book?
I think maybe this is, we had to wait 4.5 years now to push you to do this one, to have this interview, to be like, hey, I think it's time.
Yeah, what about her, like, finish the book and then coronavirus happened the next month? Like, I got a whole nother. I got the COVID experience to talk about.
Well, with that said, how did you transition from 2019 to 2020 with COVID and everything like that?
Yeah,
like
individually and business.
You're mostly all tech, so it's not like you need a huge.
You don't need to. The fact is, you don't have to be.
Yeah, so I almost said the wrong thing. I almost said it was a blessing, but it was not a blessing.
It wasn't a blessing.
COVID wasn't a blessing. But
to be honest, for some people it was a blessing. And even though, I lost a great friend, man, and somebody that musically inspired me and kept me going out and about, but I also was able to receive some SBA money to continue my business, a vision of creating a GCL cultural center. And I'm like still plugging away. I'm still need to fix stuff, but like, it's ironic that I would, if it wasn't for COVID, I would not be able to get that money to be in a better position this year to relieve some stress and move forward on the project. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's weird. It's a weird irony.
It's weird. You don't find yourself you don't try to find guilt yourself in how a situation played out for you individually. It's your reaction to it. But there's people who have come through trauma, intense trauma, whether it was terrorist attacks or natural disasters or just localized things. And some people lost it all and never can go back. And then other people have found a way to pivot, or just happened that maybe they didn't pivot, but the stars aligned and they were able to do certain things. And you don't want to have that survivor's guilt. You don't want to be like, well, okay, I can't be happy. And I think there's a duality. You are fully capable as a human. We are fully capable as men, mature men, to respect both at the same time. And some of us had an opportunity or found an opportunity, either were given an opportunity or created an opportunity during last year's quarantine pandemic phase, and we haven't left it. So we can't. It's hard to talk about it in the past tense, but we are in a new chapter of it, right? So how was that chapter? How was last year's chapter for you?
It was I'll tell you what my blessings were. So my blessings was that I got to spend a lot of time with my family. So I spent more time with my wife and my kids than ever. You guys probably see my son around now more than ever because I didn't have custody of my son, but during COVID he was in Detroit. I got custody of my son, so he's with us full time now.
That's cool, man.
And so that snowballed or nurtured the confidence that my wife had that she could quit her job and come work with me, because we were kind of together all day, every day. And so I did lose a very important person. My aunt. Actually, the last time I ever had a run-in with the law, I can tell this story. I tried to ride a motorcycle from Michigan to Miami.
Wow.
Because I was 26. Living on South Beach. I didn't have a car, but I had a motorcycle back in Michigan. And who don't want a motorcycle on South Beach, right? So it's like April. I fly back to Detroit, get on my bike. It's snowing in Detroit in April. So I'm literally riding the bike out of Michigan with snow on the ground, a motorcycle. And I get all the way to Atlanta, and I go through Forsyth County, which is just past Atlanta.
You got to Atlanta?
Yeah.
How many hours is that? Like a day or two?
I was about 16 hours into it.
Jesus.
And I had stopped one night to take a nap. I stopped that night, and but I went through this county, man. I was doing maybe like 140, you know. And so I blow past a couple cops, and I know they're gonna come after me. So I get off at the next exit. They come up behind me, and they arrest me, because it's like Michigan doesn't have reciprocity with Georgia. So if it's like a criminal violation, which going over 20 miles over is, they will arrest you until you pay the fines. So they arrested me, and how God often shows me favor, when I get to the jail, the head person, the CEO that runs the jail, was a Marine that I was stationed with in Paris Island, the gunnery sergeant, and he was like, Belford? He was like, well, we're not surprised to see you here. I was like, I'm surprised to see you too, but I'm glad I'm seeing you. So anyway, but my aunt that passed away during COVID, she lives in Georgia, Marietta. She's the one that came and got me. And she brought a U-Haul to get my truck out the impound, and I spent some days with her. But so my aunt passed away during COVID, and she was a really good lady. She was probably one of the women that made my mother as strong as she was. So there was a trickle-down effect through this woman. And how she caught COVID, she had a pantry. And during COVID, she refused to stop feeding the homeless. And so she, all day, every day, from sun up to sundown, gave away food to people throughout Atlanta and Marietta and Monroe. Wow. And so we're pretty confident that through her interactions with people, that she got COVID and ended up passing away. And so that was hard to deal with, right? And then I have a grandmother in Michigan that was in I'm gonna say in jail, but she was in the hospital for 31 days.
During that time.
With COVID.
So you got that going on, but then what was happening, your family dynamic, everybody's getting closer.
Yeah, everybody, we're just getting we have a greater appreciation. You know, you got people, you know, my grandmom's in the hospital for over a month. You know, my aunt on and off the ventilator ended up not making it. So it does make you want to hold people dear to you closer. You know.
I mean, how many of us were spending like an abnormal amount of time with family during that area?
On the sun.
Or your animal or whatever the case may be, going on mad walks.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
And walks. Like I was going on walks for days, bicycles, walking. Hey, talking. I saw neighbors I'd never seen before. Yeah. Hey, one of our guests that we're going to be doing this video with, the next episode, I actually found out he was my neighbor because of COVID, because I'm walking around with my kids and they're driving through the grass and they see another group of kids and they're making, I'm trying to stop my kids because my kids are a little crazy, so I was make sure my kids don't attack those kids. Ironically, those kids were older. It's real, it's a legit thing, meet my children. And then their father comes out and their father comes out with he's like me, kind of on the balder side.
Kind of.
He came out with a wig on. And I'm looking and I'm like, hey, is that? And when I say we're neighbors, I could throw, not me, but someone with a good arm could throw a football from my house to his house.
I didn't even know it.
And so I'm like, and because COVID created that environment where, hey, I'm actually seeing my neighbors. Hey, man, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
Across the street. Did you walk more?
I definitely did. I mean, we were in Paseo, which is like a little community. Like you have people that walk in there, right? But after they have put the curfew and the mandate and everything, it's like you gotta be home. It's like, what were people doing? So like people were walking more. Like there was traffic now. It was like, wait, aren't y'all supposed to be home right now? It's one of those like, aren't you supposed to be home? No, aren't you supposed to be home? But it's like, all right, we just go past each other. Cool. And it was that. But you definitely saw more people walking, more people being active. more people finding ways of communicating, which was, you would think, in a sense, the way it looks is like everybody's at home, nobody's communicating, right? You're not communicating physically, but that's when now you see the rise of like Zoom and all these meetings, because
Zoom.
Now that we're having parties, like, okay, let's go back to having 30 people in this one video room, and then we're connecting with all these people because we can't do it any other way. And you have people going more towards like being on live, like for Facebook, we're just trying to find out what's going on. So in a way, while they felt there was a disconnect, there was more of a connect as far as like people.
I think everything was like a little more intimate. Like like every time that I had to speak to anyone, because you don't know, like there's people that did the DJ. Like I didn't know him personally, but I had seen him a few days before. You know, and so you don't know if this is the last time you're going to see somebody. So I think we all, subconsciously have a greater appreciation for just conversation with anybody, and so there's a lot, the level of intimacy I think is greater than it's ever been maybe on this planet, or at least within our lifetimes. Like it's I think we all appreciate people more than we ever have before. So
I can definitely see that.
I remember I started saying, I feel more comfortable with saying I love you.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be telling my homeboys that all the time now. Yep.
That, like, or like just like, yo, man, so not that I was ever like, oh, that's not cool, but it just wasn't.
It felt awkward to say. I still feel kind of awkward throwing it out there, but I mean it though.
I love you, man.
I'm like, I love you. And so, see, it's cool now. Wait till it's the end of the phone conversation, then it feels weird all of a sudden.
Right.
Like,
you know what?
We say, hey man, say I love you, dog. It's cool right now. Until it's the end of the phone call. All right, man, take it easy. Have a good day, man. All right, I love you, dog.
Hey,
you don't hang up, and then
the trick is you don't whisper.
You sit there in the moment. You go.
It's like, what? And then just hang up. Like,
no, I know that's my dog. We go.
Yeah, you gotta hit him with a yo, like yo, I got love for you, right, bro?
That's how you gotta pepper it. You just, but you can't just.
It's crazy out here. Be safe.
Be safe. That's so if I imagine being a kid back in the day when we were kids, I used to watch like Sesame Street or one of those genres, and it was Barney. It's Barney, and I remember the song. It was a song saying saying "Be careful" means I love you.
Oh, okay.
And it's mind you, I watched that when I was a little child, but it stuck with me. So like now, instead of saying I love you to my homies, occasionally it'd be careful. Because in my head it's saying I love you. So like, yo, be careful, man, or hey man, be safe. Or whatever. And that's my version of saying I love you.
I said be safe. Yeah.
I'm like, yo man, be safe. I mean the hell out of it when I say it.
So now I feel better if you ever told me to be careful.
No, yo, be careful.
I thought you might be careful. Like you judging me. Like I'm trying to say. Like why I gotta be careful?
Hey, dog. Be safe driving, dog. Be careful. What? What you just said to me? No. I was like, no, but
all this time you telling me you love me, bro.
Yeah, I was telling my man, be safe, man. Have a safe. Like, what do you mean? What am I doing that's not safe?
Things I know you worry about me too.
I love you. I worry about you guys. But listen. So why I don't want to go off too deep with things, but I want to kind of get to that last part of this. I want to talk about Ty Belford in regards to Southwest Florida community and your business, because I know personally, but they don't know. They don't know about the accolades and the relationships and the moving and shaking and the who knows me and who I know, but which is not clout chasing, but also the work
for I guess a 2-person team now.
Yeah.
Obviously I know you third party a lot of stuff.
Right.
Things that make things process faster for you in business, but you work with some big names in town, man.
Some big names.
I just saw you on, talked about on AT&T what they put out for that project.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you show me that?
Yeah,
wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
AT&T. What?
I know that show.
With
who's this guy, man? I'm horrible with
Century
names.
Entertainer.
Yes.
Century Entertainer.
And he was those.
Oh, snap! Yeah, I did see that. It was like that was recent.
And they also gave the grant for the lady that they brought on there as well.
Yeah. So and then she